In the faraway colonies of the stars, where humans and aliens often lived side by side, there was a world ruled by strict alien traditions. The people of this world were proud, ancient, and cold toward anything they considered human weakness. They valued order, logic, and silence. For them, joy was unnecessary, and celebrations were wasteful. Among them lived a little alien girl named Lyra. Her skin shimmered faintly like silver under the twin suns, and her big round eyes carried both innocence and sadness. Lyra was different from the others her age. She laughed too quickly, she asked too many questions, and most of all, she dreamed of things her people never cared about. She had never celebrated a birthday. In fact, she did not even know what it felt like. Her people never marked the day a child was born. For them, birth was just survival. The idea of celebrating life itself was strange, even dangerous. They said, "Life is duty, not a party." But one day, everything changed. It began when a group of humans arrived at the colony. They were workers and soldiers, sent to help with trade and defense. Humans were known across the galaxy for their unusual customs, things like singing, hugging, giving gifts, and celebrating birthdays. To most aliens, these acts were foolish. To Lyra, they were magical. She often hid in corners and shadows, watching the humans when they gathered. Their laughter filled the air like music. Their eyes sparkled when they shared stories. She could not understand why such small things made them so alive. One evening, she saw something she would never forget. The humans had gathered in the metal courtyard near their ships. They carried bright paper decorations, a small glowing box, and something sweet that smelled unlike any food she had known. In the middle of the group stood a man with gray hair and tired eyes. He was their captain, Captain Aaron. The humans placed a round cake in front of him. It was covered in cream, colors, and tiny flames dancing on sticks. Everyone cheered as he closed his eyes, made a wish, and blew out the flames. "Happy birthday." They shouted together, their voices rising like a joyful storm. Lyra's heart stopped. Birthday. The word felt soft yet powerful. She leaned forward from her hiding place, her silver eyes wide. She did not understand everything, but she felt something stir deep inside her chest. Was this what it meant to be special? To have one day that belonged only to you? Captain Aaron noticed her then. While others were laughing, he saw the small alien child peeking from the shadows. She looked fragile, almost trembling, but her eyes were locked on the cake. Something about her gaze struck him. It was the same look his daughter used to have on Earth when she wanted something but was too shy to ask. He smiled gently, but Lyra quickly looked away, afraid. She did not want to be caught. She had heard whispers before. Do not learn human ways. They are dangerous. They weaken the mind. Still, she could not help herself. That night, when the humans were cleaning up, Lyra stayed hidden. She whispered softly to herself, her voice trembling. "I wish. Just once I had a birthday." She thought no one heard her. But Captain Aaron was standing nearby. His tired eyes turned toward her, and he froze. He had heard every word. Aaron stood in silence for a moment, his heart heavy. In this strange world, he had followed many rules and obeyed countless alien laws. But this was different. A child's voice asking for something as simple as a birthday. He looked at her again. She was still hiding, hugging her knees, her silver hair glowing faintly under the dim lights. She seemed so small, so lonely. Something stirred inside him, memories of his own daughter's laughter, the smell of candles, the warmth of family gatherings. He had celebrated many birthdays back on Earth. But now, in the cold emptiness of space, he realized how important they truly were. No child, human or alien, should live without one. The next day, Lyra avoided the humans. She was embarrassed. She thought perhaps her words were foolish, perhaps even dangerous if the elders heard. But when she walked past the human ship, Captain Aaron was waiting. He knelt down so his eyes were level with hers. His voice was calm, quiet, and kind. "You've never had a birthday, have you?" he asked. Lyra froze, her cheeks glowing faintly blue, the alien sign of fear. "No, my people don't do that. It's wrong. They say it is weakness." Aaron shook his head slowly. "It's not weakness. It's joy. It's a way of saying, you matter. You are alive, and that is worth celebrating." Her eyes widened. No one had ever said such words to her. Aaron leaned closer, lowering his voice even more. "If you could have a birthday, would you want one?" For a long time, Lyra said nothing. Her little hands clutched her robe tightly. Then, barely louder than a whisper, she said, "Yes." Aaron smiled. It was not the smile of a soldier, but of a father. "Then I will give you one." At that moment, something unseen shifted in the air. The stars above seemed to burn brighter, and the silence of the colony felt heavier. Because somewhere hidden in the darkness, alien patrol drones were watching. Their sensors had recorded the moment, and their silent wings carried the message straight to the alien council. Lyra had made a wish. Aaron had made a promise, and now both their lives were about to change forever. Lyra's whispered dream had been heard, not only by the human captain but also by the very rulers who would never forgive it. The next morning, the colony buzzed with its usual rhythm. Alien workers marched in silence carrying tools. Machines hummed across the dusty plains. Ships landed and departed with strict precision. To anyone watching, life seemed calm. But for Captain Aaron, things were no longer the same. He could not forget the little alien girl's whisper. "I wished, just once, I had a birthday." The words echoed inside him like a bell he could not silence. He thought of his daughter back on Earth. He remembered the way her small hands clapped when she blew out her candles, her face glowing with joy. How could he allow this child, Lyra, to grow without even one memory like that? But he also knew the risk. The alien rulers, called the Council of Order, hated human customs. They said human traditions were dangerous because they carried too much emotion. They believed emotions led to rebellion, to chaos, to war. Celebrations like birthdays were banned. Any alien caught joining human ways was punished. Any human who encouraged it was watched. Aaron knew this. He had seen the council punish others for less. But something inside him refused to obey this law. That evening, when the suns were low, Aaron found Lyra again. She was sitting near the edge of the colony wall, tracing shapes in the dust with her finger. He sat down beside her slowly. "Lyra," he said softly. She jumped, then looked up at him with wide silver eyes. You heard me last night." "Yes," Aaron admitted. His voice was gentle but firm. "And I want to ask you again, do you truly want a birthday?" Her lips trembled. She looked down, her hands tightening. "If the council finds out, they will be angry. My family might suffer." Aaron placed a hand on the ground, close enough for her to feel his presence but not touching. "I will protect you," he promised. "Every child deserves at least one day that is theirs, a day to feel special." For a long moment she said nothing. Then her eyes filled with a strange light, half fear, half hope. She gave a tiny nod. "Yes." Later that night, Aaron shared his plan with his human crew. They were gathered inside the cargo bay of their ship. "I'm going to give her a birthday," Aaron said. The room fell silent. His officers exchanged nervous glances. One of them, Lieutenant Briggs, shook his head sharply. "Captain, that's suicide. You know, the council watches everything. If they see you bringing human customs to their children, they'll ban you from the colony. Or worse." Aaron's jaw tightened. "I know the risk. But she's just a child. She has nothing, not even one happy memory of her own birth. Do you think that's right?" The crew muttered uneasily. A younger engineer spoke up. "Sir, I think it's beautiful. But if they punish her family," Aaron's voice turned firm, "then we must be careful. We'll make it secret. Just one cake, one candle, that's all. Something small but enough for her to remember." Some nodded, some frowned, but none dared to argue further. Aaron had decided. Unseen by them, one of the humans slipped quietly out of the cargo bay. His face was pale, his eyes filled with fear. His name was Mason, and he had already been warned by the council once before. He could not afford another mistake. As the others planned, Mason whispered into a small device, sending a message to the alien guards. "The captain is planning something forbidden. He wants to bring human celebrations to an alien child." The next day, strange shadows followed Aaron. Small flying patrol drones drifted above him wherever he went. Their single red eyes glowed faintly, recording every step. He tried to ignore them, but he knew what it meant. The council already suspected him. Still, he continued. He began to gather supplies in secret. From the kitchens, he took sugar, flour, and oil. From storage, he found tiny candles used for emergencies. From old fabric, he cut ribbons that might serve as decorations. At night, when no one was watching, he whispered instructions to Lyra. "Don't tell anyone," he warned. "Not even your family. We must keep it safe." Her eyes shone with both fear and excitement. When will it happen? Soon, he promised. But rumors spread quickly in the colony. Humans whispered in quiet corners. The captain is planning something strange. He wants to give an alien child a birthday. Some admired him, saying, "He has courage. He cares." Others shook their heads. "He will bring trouble to us all." Lyra noticed the change too. Alien elders began to look at her differently. Some scolded her for spending too much time near the humans. One teacher even said in front of the class, "Beware of humans. They bring forbidden ideas." Lyra lowered her head in shame, but inside, her heart held one tiny spark of hope. That evening, Aaron stood alone near the edge of the colony, staring at the horizon. His thoughts were heavy. He knew the council would not forgive him if they found out. Yet he also knew he could not turn back. For him, this was no longer about one birthday. It was about something bigger. It was about proving that even in a cold and strict universe, kindness could still survive. He whispered to himself, "Every child deserves joy, even if I must pay the price." Behind him, the air shifted. The sound of wings. Aaron turned and froze. 2 alien patrol drones hovered just above him, their red eyes glowing brighter than ever. The colony looked the same as always. Machines rumbling, workers moving in silence, ships rising into the pale sky, but under the surface tension was growing. Captain Aaron knew the council's drones had seen him. He could almost feel their red eyes burning into his back whenever he walked through the streets. Still, he refused to give up. Lyra's whispered wish echoed in his heart. "I wish just once. I had a birthday." Aaron told himself again and again, "If I don't do this, she will never know joy. She will grow up believing she was never meant to be celebrated." So he began his plan. At night, when the alien guards were busy patrolling the outer borders, Aaron gathered a few trusted humans in the storage bay of their ship. The metal walls hummed with the sound of machines, but inside their voices were low and urgent. "We'll need flour, sugar, and oil," Aaron said, his eyes scanning the group. "The kitchen has them. We can't take too much or the aliens will notice." A young engineer, Harper, frowned. "What about decorations?" "A birthday without color feels empty," Aaron nodded. "Scraps of fabric, old ribbons, anything bright. We'll make it enough." Lieutenant Briggs leaned forward, his face tense. "Captain, I must say this again. If they catch us, we're done. The council doesn't forgive." Aaron's eyes hardened. "I know, but this isn't just about me. It's about her. Do you understand what it means to never have a birthday? To never be told you matter?" Silence fell over the group. Some shifted uncomfortably. Others looked inspired. Slowly, one by one, they nodded. Aaron's plan had begun. Meanwhile, Lyra tried to hide her excitement. Every day she walked past her people with her head lowered, pretending nothing was unusual. But inside, her heart beat with restless energy. Aaron spoke to her only in whispers, always careful. "Soon," he told her. "But you must promise, tell no one. Not even your parents." Her silver eyes widened. "Not even them?" He shook his head. "The fewer who know, the safer you'll be." It hurt her to keep such a secret, but she trusted him. She had never been trusted before, never been given something so precious. But danger was already creeping closer. Mason, the human who had warned the council, grew more nervous with each passing day. He saw Aaron sneaking into the kitchen, Harper carrying hidden ribbons, Briggs whispering to others. Mason's hands shook whenever he thought about it. "If the council finds out I knew and said nothing," he whispered to himself. His fear grew like a shadow, pushing him toward betrayal once again. One evening, Aaron began baking. In the hidden corner of the human ship, he lit a small portable oven. The smell of flour and sugar filled the air. To anyone else, it was just a simple cake. But to Aaron, it was a promise kept, a symbol of hope. His hands trembled as he stirred. He had baked many cakes on Earth, but this one felt heavier than all the rest. It was not just for a child, it was for a world that had forgotten how to smile. Briggs entered, shaking his head. "Captain, you're risking everything for this." Aaron didn't look up. "I know, but I'd rather risk everything than let a child believe she doesn't matter." Meanwhile, Lyra sat alone in her small room. Her people moved silently through the halls, never laughing, never celebrating. She thought about what Aaron had promised, a cake, candles, a wish. The words felt unreal, like pieces of a dream. Could it really happen? Could she just once blow out a candle like the humans did? She hugged her knees and whispered to herself, "Please, Let it be real. But whispers had already begun to spread in the colony. Humans spoke in hushed voices about the captain's dangerous kindness. Some admired him. Others feared the punishment that might come. Even a few aliens had heard rumors. One elder muttered, "The humans bring forbidden joy. They must be stopped." Another hissed, "If the child accepts it, she will bring shame upon us all." Lyra felt the eyes of her people more and more. She walked with her head low, afraid someone would guess her secret. One night, as Aaron worked on the decorations, he suddenly froze. A shadow moved outside the ship. The red glow of a patrol drone swept across the metal walls. Everyone went silent. The drone hovered for a long moment, its sensors scanning, its red eye blinking. Then slowly it drifted away. Harper let out a shaky breath. "They're watching us, Captain. It's only a matter of time." Aaron looked at the half-finished cake on the table. His voice was calm but heavy. "Then we'll finish before time runs out." The plan was nearly ready. The cake would be baked. The ribbons would be hung in secret. A single candle would be lit. Aaron imagined Lyra's face when she saw it. He imagined her eyes glowing with joy, her voice whispering a wish, but Mason could no longer keep his silence. That same night, he walked to the alien guard post. His face was pale, his voice trembling. "The captain," he whispered. "He's planning something forbidden. He wants to give the alien child a birthday." The guards listened in silence. Their cold eyes gleamed in the dark. One of them nodded slowly. "Then we will be ready." The colony's council chamber was carved from black stone, its walls etched with glowing runes that pulsed like veins. Few humans had ever stepped inside. Most avoided the place, for it was here the alien rulers, known as the Council of Order, decided the fate of those who broke their laws. Captain Aaron now stood in the middle of that chamber. His boots echoed across the polished floor as 6 towering figures watched him from their thrones. Their faces were cold, their eyes sharp like blades. Above them, a giant symbol glowed red, the mark of obedience. The tallest counselor spoke first, his voice a low rumble that seemed to shake the air. "Captain Aaron of Earth," he said, "we know of your actions." Aaron kept his face calm, though inside his chest tightened. "I have done my duty as required." Another counselor leaned forward, her eyes burning like fire. "Do not lie. Our drones saw you gathering forbidden items. Flour, sugar, candles, human things. We know what you intend." Aaron said nothing. The first counselor rose to his full height, towering above him. "Human traditions are poison. They infect the mind with weakness. They bring rebellion. Do you deny this?" Aaron's jaw tightened. His silence was answer enough. The counselor's voice grew louder. "You will not spread your sickness here, especially not to our young. If you try again, the punishment will be exile, or worse." When Aaron returned to the human quarters, his crew waited anxiously. Briggs was the first to speak. "What did they say?" Aaron's face was grim. "They warned me. They know what we're doing." Harper cursed under his breath. "Then we stop, Captain." "It's over." But Aaron shook his head. His eyes, though tired, burned with determination. "No, we continue. Warnings are not enough to stop me. A child's joy is worth the risk." The crew exchanged uneasy looks. Some admired him. Others thought he was mad, but none dared argue again. Meanwhile, Lyra heard whispers in the streets. The adults spoke of humans spreading danger. Teachers warned children to stay away from human workers. Even her own parents grew distant, urging her to avoid Aaron. "You must not speak with them," her father said one night, his voice stern. "The council watches." Her mother placed a hand on her shoulder. "If you break the law, we will all suffer." Lyra lowered her head. But her heart burned with confusion. Why was it wrong to want something so small? A cake, a candle? Single day of happiness? That night she cried quietly into her blanket, whispering to herself, "Why must joy be forbidden?" Aaron visited her the next day. He found her sitting alone near the edge of the colony, staring at the dust. "You're afraid," Aaron said softly. Her silver eyes lifted to his. "The council knows. My parents are angry. Please, forget me. I don't want you to be hurt." Aaron knelt down, his face gentle but unshaken. "Lyra, listen to me. Every child deserves a birthday. Every life deserves to be celebrated. If I give up now, what lesson do I leave you with? That joy is wrong? That you do not matter?" Her lips trembled. Tears formed in her eyes. She whispered, But they will punish you. Aaron smiled sadly. I've lived long enough to face punishment, but you deserve at least one day where the world tells you, you matter. Back in the ship, Aaron worked in secret. He shaped the cake with careful hands. It was small and uneven, but it smelled sweet. He carved decorations from scraps and tied colored ribbons around the table. His crew watched silently. Harper whispered, "Captain, this is madness." But Briggs, who once doubted him, now looked at the cake with softened eyes. "Madness, maybe," he muttered, "but it feels right." Aaron's hands trembled as he placed the last ribbon. He thought of his daughter again, her laughter, her bright eyes. For a moment he could almost hear her voice whispering, "Thank you, Dad." But outside the ship, the council's anger grew. They gathered in their chamber once more. The tallest one slammed his staff against the stone floor. "This human refuses our command. He is dangerous," another hissed. "If he lights that candle, if the child accepts it, our order will crack. Others will want the same. Our control will weaken," the council agreed. "We will watch. The moment he disobeys again, we strike." That night, Aaron brought Lyra to the hidden room inside the ship. Her eyes widened at the sight. The ribbons, the little table, the cake. For a moment she forgot her fear. Is this for me?" she whispered. Aaron smiled. "Yes, tomorrow we light the candle. Tomorrow is your birthday." Her small hands covered her mouth, her eyes filling with tears. She had never seen anything so beautiful. For the first time in her life, she felt chosen. She felt loved. But in the shadows, Mason's trembling voice echoed through the guard post once again. "They're ready. Tomorrow he lights the candle." The alien guards nodded. Their cold eyes gleamed with satisfaction. "Then tomorrow," one said, "the law will be enforced." The twin suns dipped below the horizon, painting the alien sky in silver and violet. Night on the colony was quiet, almost too quiet. Patrol drones floated overhead, their red eyes glowing like watchful stars. The air buzzed with tension. Something was about to happen. Inside the human ship, Captain Aaron stood over the small cake he had baked. It was not perfect, its edges were uneven and its surface cracked, but to him it was more precious than any jewel. He had placed a single candle in the center, just one. One flame, one wish, one memory. Around him, his crew worked in silence. Harper hung scraps of fabric like banners, their faded colors glowing faintly under the dim lights. Briggs set a small box on the table to play soft human music. The room, usually cold and metal, now felt alive. Aaron looked at the cake and whispered, "For her. For every child who was told joy is forbidden." Lyra arrived quietly, her small figure stepping into the room with hesitant steps. Her eyes widened when she saw it. The ribbons, the lights, the cake. She gasped softly, her silver hands flying to her mouth. This is for me," she whispered, her voice trembling. Aaron knelt so his eyes met hers. His weathered face softened into a smile. "Yes, Lyra, today is your day. Today you have a birthday." Tears welled in her eyes. No one had ever said those words to her. No one had ever given her something so simple, yet so powerful. The humans gathered around her. Harper handed her a small ribbon tied into a circle like a crown. Briggs hummed the soft tune of the happy birthday song under his breath. Aaron lit the candle. The flame flickered, casting golden light across Lyra's silver skin. "Make a wish," Aaron said. His voice was low, steady, filled with warmth. Lyra stared at the flame, her heart racing. What could she wish for? She had so many dreams, friends, freedom, love. But in that moment, only one wish filled her soul. She closed her eyes, whispered it silently, and blew. The flame vanished, leaving only smoke curling upward like a ghost. The humans clapped softly, their faces glowing with joy. Lyra's hand shook. Her lips curved into a trembling smile. For the first time in her life, she felt what it meant to be celebrated. She felt she mattered, but joy is fragile. The sharp sound of sirens cut through the ship. Red lights flashed along the walls. "Alarms," Harper gasped. Briggs drew his weapon instinctively. "They found us." The cake still sat on the table, smoke rising from its blown-out candle. Lyra's smile faded into fear. The metal doors hissed open with a loud crack. Alien guards stormed inside, their armor shining, their weapons raised. Their cold eyes swept over the scene, the cake, the candle, the decorations. One guard hissed, "Forbidden!" Lyra flinched, clutching Aaron's sleeve. The leader of the guards pointed at Aaron. Human, you defy the council's law. You poison our young with your weakness. Aaron stood tall, placing himself in front of Lyra. His voice rang out strong, even as weapons pointed at his chest. It is not poison. It is kindness. A child deserves to know joy. The guards moved closer, their boots pounding on the floor. Lyra cried out, her voice shaking. It's just a cake. Why is that wrong? The words echoed through the room. For a moment, even the guards hesitated. Their faces hardened, but the child's question hung in the air like a blade. One human whispered, She's braver than all of us. Aaron's jaw tightened. He reached behind him, gently squeezing Lyra's hand. Stay strong, he whispered. The guards raised their weapons higher. Enough, their leader snapped. You will come with us. The council will judge you for this crime. Aaron spread his arms slightly, shielding Lyra. Then judge me. But leave her out of this, the leader sneered. She is guilty too. She accepted your corruption. Both will face punishment. Gasps rippled through the humans. Lyra's face went pale, her small body trembling. Aaron's voice thundered. She is a child. If you punish her for blowing out a candle, then it is not her who is weak, it is you. For the first time, the guards faltered. Their red eyes flickered with unease. But before any decision could be made, the air grew heavy. The doors opened once more and silence fell. The alien council entered. 6 towering figures cloaked in black and silver, their presence colder than ice. The guards stepped aside immediately, bowing their heads. The tallest counselor stepped forward, his eyes glowing with fury. You were warned, he said, his voice echoing across the chamber. And still you disobey? You brought forbidden human rituals into our world. You dared to infect one of our young. Aaron stood unshaken. I gave her a memory, a smile. Nothing more. The counselor's face hardened. For this crime, there is only one punishment. The air in the chamber was sharp, like ice cutting into skin. The humans stood frozen, their decorations hanging limp. The little cake still glowing faintly under the overhead lights. Lyra pressed herself against Aaron's side, her wide silver eyes glistening with fear. The Council of Order towered above them, cloaks heavy and voices filled with thunder. You were warned, the tallest counselor said again, his voice echoing against the walls. And yet you defied us. You dared to bring forbidden joy into our colony. You dared to plant weakness in a child. Aaron stood firm, though he felt the weight of every word. His chest ached with the knowledge that punishment was certain, but his voice did not shake. This is not weakness, it is love. It is hope. The counselor's eyes narrowed. Love and hope lead to rebellion. Rebellion leads to ruin. Your traditions are poison. Lyra's small voice broke the silence. She stepped out from behind Aaron, her hands trembling but her chin lifted. It's just a cake, she said softly. Why does it scare you so much? The guards shifted uneasily. Even some humans gasped. A child had spoken against the council. The counselor slammed his staff against the floor. The sound cracked like thunder. Silence. You will not question us, child. But Lyra didn't stop. Her tears sparkled, yet her voice grew louder. You say joy is weakness. But when I blew out that candle, I felt strong. I felt alive. Aaron's heart swelled with pride. For the first time, the little girl was speaking for herself, standing against the very rulers who had silenced her all her life. The humans in the room began to murmur. Some of the alien guards even looked away, their hard expressions breaking. The council noticed. Their leader's voice grew colder. Enough. The punishment must be carried out. 2 guards stepped forward, weapons ready. By order of the council, the human and the child will be taken. They will face exile or death. Aaron moved quickly, his body shielding Lyra. His voice rang out strong. If you must punish someone, punish me. Leave her. She is only a child. The leader's eyes glowed. She chose to join you. That makes her guilty. Lyra's little hand clutched Aaron's sleeve tightly. Her voice trembled. I don't want you to be hurt because of me. Aaron looked down at her, his expression soft despite the danger. You've done nothing wrong. Do you hear me? Nothing. The guards advanced, their boots striking the floor in heavy rhythm. The humans in the room raised their voices in protest. This is madness, Briggs shouted. She's just a child. Harper stepped forward too. Are you so afraid of a birthday? What kind of strength is that? The guards hesitated. The council's control was cracking. The humans were no longer silent. The counselor's voice boomed again, desperate to regain power. "Be quiet, or you will all share their fate." But the silence didn't return this time. Whispers filled the chamber, first from the humans, then surprisingly from some of the aliens who had followed the guards inside. "She is only a child." "It was only a candle." "Why should joy be forbidden?" The counselor's face twisted in rage. He raised his staff high. "Enough, guards, seize them." The guards lunged forward. Aaron moved instantly, pulling Lyra behind him. He spread his arms wide, refusing to step aside. "Then you'll have to go through me," he said, his voice like steel. The guards froze for a moment. They had seen humans fight before, but never one who stood so still, so fearless in front of certain punishment. Lyra clung to him, her small voice whispering, "I'm sorry. This is my fault." Aaron shook his head. "No, Lyra, this is not your fault. This is their fear." The tension grew unbearable. The guards' weapons hummed with energy. One step forward and it would mean violence. But then something unexpected happened. One alien guard lowered his weapon. His voice was quiet, uncertain. "She is right. It was just a cake." Another hesitated, looking between the child and the council. "Is joy truly poison?" The counselor roared, his voice shaking the walls. "Obey your order." But cracks had already formed. The humans began to speak louder, their voices rising together. "She matters. Every child deserves a birthday. Love is not a crime." Their words filled the chamber like thunder. The counselors looked around, realizing the crowd was no longer silent. Lyra's eyes widened as she saw even some alien children peeking through the doors, whispering among themselves. "I want a birthday too," one of them said softly. The council's power wavered. The law was no longer absolute, but the leader refused to yield. His voice rose in fury. "Enough of this. The punishment is exile or death." His staff struck the floor and the runes along the walls flared red. Guards tensed again, torn between fear of the council and the truth they had just heard. Aaron placed his hands on Lyra's shoulders, his voice calm despite the chaos. "No matter what happens next, remember this, Lyra. You are worth celebrating. Never forget that." The council chamber trembled with tension. The air was thick, heavy with silence and fear. On one side stood the Council of Order, cloaked in shadows, their glowing eyes filled with rage. On the other side stood Captain Aaron, firm and unyielding, shielding Lyra with his body. Behind him, humans muttered with defiance. Around them, whispers spread like wildfire. A birthday cake had become a weapon. A single candle had lit a fire no law could contain. The council leader raised his staff once more. "Seize them, now!" The guards moved forward, but their steps were slow, uncertain. Their red eyes flickered. Some lowered their weapons, torn between obedience and doubt. Lyra's small voice pierced the silence. She stepped forward, clutching the half-melted candle in her hand. Her eyes shone with tears, but her voice rang out clear. "This is not poison. This is love." Her words echoed through the hall. Even the glowing runes on the walls seemed to dim. The humans broke into cheers, their voices rising as one. "She's right. It's love, not poison." The alien children at the doors pressed closer, their eyes wide. One whispered, "I want a birthday too." Another nodded eagerly. "Me too," the counselors stiffened. Their control, built over centuries of fear, was slipping. The leader's voice cracked with fury. Children questioning their elders? "This is what human corruption brings. If we allow this, our order will collapse." Aaron's voice thundered in reply. "Order built on fear is no order at all. Joy is not corruption, it is strength." The guards froze between the two sides. Some still obeyed the council, their weapons raised. Others let their arms drop, shame filling their faces. The room had become a battlefield without swords, only voices clashing like blades. Lyra lifted the candle high, her little hands trembling but steady. "I made a wish," she said, her voice breaking. "I wished for one birthday. I wished to feel like I mattered, and I do. Because this man, this human, showed me I do." Tears rolled down her silver cheeks. "Why would you take that away?" The chamber grew silent. The question hung in the air, heavier than any punishment. The youngest counselor shifted uncomfortably. His voice was low, almost uncertain. Perhaps joy is not weakness." The leader snapped his head toward him. Silence. But it was too late. The doubt had already spread. The alien children whispered louder, tugging at their parents' robes. Why don't I have a birthday? Why can't I be celebrated? The parents looked uneasy. For the first time, they were seeing the truth through their children's eyes. The council leader slammed his staff against the ground, the runes blazing red. If you follow this human, you follow ruin. Aaron stepped forward, his voice steady and strong. If this is ruin, then I choose it. Because ruin filled with love is stronger than order built on fear. The guards faltered. Finally, one dropped his weapon completely and bowed his head. I will not harm the child. Another followed. Nor will I. The council leader roared in fury, but his power was breaking. The more he shouted, the more the crowd turned against him. Lyra stood tall, holding her candle like a torch. Her small voice carried more strength than all the council's rage. I am not afraid of joy anymore. The humans cheered. The alien children clapped. Even some elders looked down, ashamed. In that moment, the council knew they had lost. The leader lowered his staff slowly, his glowing eyes dimming. He spat the words like poison. You have broken our law, but you have also broken our silence. We will not punish you. Not today. His cloak swept around him as he turned and stormed out of the chamber. The other counselors followed. Their authority fractured, their voices no longer unchallenged. Silence filled the room. Then slowly, softly, the humans began to sing. A birthday song, gentle and trembling at first, but growing stronger. Happy birthday to you, Lyra gasped, her tears streaming down her face. She looked at Aaron, her voice breaking. This is for me? Aaron knelt beside her, his hand resting lightly on her shoulder. His smile was warm, his eyes filled with pride. Yes, Lyra, for you. Her chest shook with sobs, but her smile glowed brighter than any candle. For the first time in her life, she felt truly alive. The cake was cut. The humans and even a few aliens tasted its sweetness. The music filled the air, and though the council had left, their power had cracked. A single birthday had shown the colony a new way. Children laughed. Parents watched with unsure but curious eyes. The whispers spread. Maybe birthdays are not so dangerous. Maybe joy is worth the risk. Aaron stood quietly in the corner watching Lyra's laughter. He thought of his daughter on Earth. He thought of the promise he had kept. His heart felt lighter than it had in years. As the night faded, Lyra sat with her little candle, now melted and short. She held it close to her chest like a treasure. She whispered to herself, her eyes shining with hope. This was the best day of my life, and though the stars outside burned cold and distant, deep inside the colony something new had been born, a spark of change, a spark of joy. One human, one cake, one forbidden birthday. But it was enough to change a child's world, and perhaps the future of an entire people.